Hello. Okay, so Midnight Charlie Man and Midnight Charlie Man Patrick, good afternoon. This is approximately 24 hours after I filmed part 1, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and of course after I filmed it, I'm previously why did it I don't know, last time I filmed it was it? It's the 5th of April 2023, and it's 5:12 p.m. But when I filmed all this, it was an hour ago, and I opened the curtain just to shed a little bit of light on the situation. So, I'm going to slice this in now. It's a good thing to mention the date. I thought of all these things I could have said, all these extensions upon things that I could have said. I kept going over the video in my head. I didn't rewatch it. The only time I rewatched it was when I put it through Shortcut. When I put it through Shortcut, that's when I rewatched it. It's the only time I rewatched it. Once I make my videos, I don't rewatch them back. I just move on to the next one. I think about some of them though. Now, that day in the video, okay, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre was banned. I was going to do this like when I did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, I was going to add this on. I thought, you know what, it's bothering me so much. It's bothering me so much. I mean, you must be going fucking bananas right now. That's from Lethal Weapon 2, isn't it? Isn't it? That guy says, I bet you're going fucking bananas right now. I think it's from Lethal Weapon 2. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was banned in Australia. It was... However... Okay, when I do that, I've usually got about 4 things to say at once, and I don't know which one to start on first. I'm not stuck for words, I just don't know which one to start on first. I do remember, I've been going over this in my head, I remember the first time I went to Bogey's video at KFC, not the first time, but I remember when I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the shelf, the VHS on the shelf, it had a few stickers on it. One of them was R restricted, and also another one said previously banned in this country, and that's the detail that I forgot to put down in the first video, because it had a sticker on it that said previously banned in this country. I'm trying to just looking up on Google now. This is not that this is inaccurate, but my glasses are just here. Now, it does show that. The film decision was made in 1975. Now, when I was about 14 or 15, 1987 was about the time. 1987 was about the time that I rented it out. So I'm in the video section, in the horror section, and I'm looking it up on the shelf, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as well as with Halloween, as well as Friday the 13th. I think by that point, Nightmare on Elm Street had come out, and there was The Omen, and there was The Possession, and there was all these wonderful... We had a different perspective on it all back then, because they were in the 80s. It wasn't like a retro perspective. It was, we're in it, and so we didn't have the perspective that we have now. And the Communion, movie called The Communion, and Children of the Corn, and but now I'll say all these wonderful 80s movies. I'm looking up on the shelf at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I remember one day when I got enough balls, when I got enough courage just to take it off the shelf. And this is what I forgot to say last time, was that I was expecting that someone from behind the counter was going to say, "Hey there, young man, what are you doing with that movie, young man? How old are you?" And I was completely ready for that to happen. I was totally ready for someone to say, "Hey there, young man, what are you doing?" And it didn't occur, it didn't take place. Okay, so this is an interjection. Sometimes they get a bit dramatic. Okay, there wouldn't have been that stern, elderly gentleman voice in the video store, because that video store that I went to, and a bit of history about Bogey's Video, the video store I went to, Bogey's Video at Campsie at the time, was run by women. there was about 4 women who worked there, and incidentally there was one guy that worked there, to my memory, who actually lived on my street at the time. He lived approximately about 6 doors down from me, so they knew us. But it wouldn't have been that stern elderly gentleman voice. They didn't really do that. But I was waiting for something to happen. I was waiting for something. Anyway, back to what I was saying. And I looked at it, and it was the most taboo, restricted area, prohibited area thing. I'm doing handheld. I contemplated bringing my tripod up here. I might have been using a lot. I've got the lounging mode on. I've got this light on here. See that light there? But I might bring my other light up. Might bring my other LED up. Add a bit more light. I might do that. I think I might do that next time. Held it in my hand in the horror section, and waiting for someone to tell me to put it down, to tell me that I wasn't old enough to be holding that yet, holding that VHS yet. And then it was a different world. Oh, that's what I thought of earlier today. Upon looking on the back cover of Texas Chainsaw, and by the way, I was looking for the VHS. I was looking for the VHS a few years ago. I didn't a couple of times it appeared on eBay, but it got scooped up very quickly by somebody. It was on there 3 times. I don't look for it anymore. I'm a bit over it now. I didn't get to pick up a copy, but there were copies going for $20 on eBay a few years back. And this is an important detail from my perspective. I would turn the VHS over in the video store, because I've got this memory, and on the back it had a picture of the Ed Neal guy, the guy that played the hitchhiker. And a picture of him, had a picture of Leatherface in his back room, had 3 pictures, and I tell you what, I could almost smell the movie just by looking at those old pictures. They're like the old pictures. And at the time, they'd only been taken, bearing on things. So 1987, I was attempting to hire it. 1987, 1988 was when I was attempting to rent this out. When I did rent it out, merely 12 years. So it was merely 12 years before. Those pictures had been taken 12 years previously, and might as well have been taken in the 30s. But it they had a distinct feeling to them. I felt. Okay, that part when I was talking about the pictures on the back of the VHS, and my memory had run out there. I'm in shortcut now, putting this together, and just past that part. So, looking at those pictures on the back of the VHS in the video store, Bogey's Video, in 1987-88, I could practically smell the movie from looking at those pictures, looking at those grainy pictures in that VHS. I could practically smell the movie, and not to mention, at the time, Jaws had come out, a few years earlier? Well, not a few years earlier, but 7 years earlier. You had Jaws on the shelf, and you had, that's what I was going to say as well, was that, and every time then afterwards, after I'd rented it, and I'd go back to the horror section to pick out. I'd watched a lot of horrors, and whenever Texas wasn't being rented, it'd be up on the shelf, and I'd be like, oh, yes, that movie, and it would just loom there. All those other wonderful horror movies, and including, actually, Mad Max wasn't in the horror section, but I did consider Mad Max to be a horror movie. I still consider Mad Max to be a horror movie, but that was always in the action section, was never in the horror section. And a wonderful array of different movies there. Back to what I was saying, I could practically smell that movie from the pictures on the back cover. I could practically smell it. Camera ran out of memory, and then I remember what I was going to speak of. But first, how I felt when this movie used to terrify me. That beginning scene in the van when they're driving, already knew something was up, already knew something was wrong. When she reads a horoscope and says, there are moments today that you'll wonder if what is happening is really happening. And when the hitchhiker guy gets in the van, it's terrifying. I still find it, when I watch it now, I'm just sort of taking in everything else. It's entertaining. But when I was terrified by this movie, something was up. I was like, this is not going to go well. This isn't going to end well. I was already scared. It was like, because of the details, because of this guy's character, the conversation, what takes place in the van. I was like, if this is starting off like this, what's going to go on next? What's going to happen next? And and the tombstone, I barely talked about the tombstone at the beginning of the movie, the opening shot of the tombstone when you're coming back with a tombstone. Oh my gosh, incredible, absolutely incredible, and foreboding and unnerving and like creepy and everything. It's well, what a wonderful shot. What an absolutely wonderful shot. And that guy who says, "Excuse me, fellas, let me get through here. This girl's grandfather's buried here. Come on, come on, let me get through here. This girl's grandfather's buried here." For some reason, that's an unnerving line. For some reason, that just adds tension. I don't know why it does, but it just does. Alright, this is getting complicated now. Only because, in fact, actually, one of the most most unnerving parts is at the beginning. It's at the beginning where it sounds like someone's digging something up, but then that radio announcer guy comes on and starts talking about grave robbers, oil spills or something. It's a couple of minutes of a radio announcer of sorts reading out the news, and for some reason that was just, it set a chilling atmosphere for the movie. It was very doomful. It set an atmosphere, and that is one of the most chilling moments of the movie for me. Just that radio guy, newsreader, whoever, actually I don't know who he is, because it was mentioned in the documentary. Radio guy, radio announcer, okay. Levi Isaacs is the radio announcer, and that was the radio announcer that you hear at the beginning, the radio announcer that you hear at the very beginning of the film. Levi Isaacs, yeah, he does a fantastic job. That scene is chilling. To me it was. Against that particular background. Against that background, that reddish background. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to slice this in now. What I was going to say before, something extremely important was when this aired on television, usually late at night. It never aired on Australian Sydney. So I grew up in Sydney. Live in Sydney, from Sydney. But when this aired on television in the 1980s, I remember now that this was chopped to pieces. You didn't get the full version, and I obviously didn't know that at the time of watching it. You didn't get they chopped it up, they butchered it to pieces, they really butchered it, and so you get bits and pieces of the movie, and it only run for an hour on TV, because they butchered it so much and chopped things out, even late at night, and then you get the commercial. So I know it'd run for about 70 minutes with commercials. So not only was I getting this movie chopped up, but also the commercials as well. So I never got the real taste of it. Never ever got the real taste of it. But I was still like, really taken by it. And I just remember the first time I ever had the nerve, the courage to rent it out, and I walked home with it. I was so proud. More so just like that was a huge achievement just for me to rent that out, and I had no idea what I was about to see. And I felt I had a piece of gold, big balls just to rent it out. Got it home and watched it by myself, and I remember just reading the back cover, looking at those stickers, looking at the R restriction. Have to be 18 and over, and I was like 16 at the time. And also I was able to, one of the reasons I was able to rent it out was because they knew me at the video store. They knew us, they knew my family. We used to, mum, dad, and my sister, we used to go down to the video store regularly. We used to rent things out. And so they knew us, which is why the first time I rented Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they didn't really question me too much on it because they knew me. And they knew us. Might have been a different story if it was a video store that I was visiting for the first time. And getting it home, watching it properly for the first time ever was really bloody unnerving, and yet fascinating and interesting and terrifying, completely terrifying all at the same time. And every component, every moment of the movie was unnerving and fantastic and incredible and terrifying in every way. I will, however, that's what I was going to say as well. Now, when Leatherface gets out the door with Pam, right, with Pam, which is Terry McKinn, I don't have the details up here. Should I bring them up? Where's my glasses? Okay, yes, so around about the oh my gosh. Okay, glasses on, I'll scream, so really will. I'm gonna be calm. Alright, I'm at the 16-minute mark. I'm talking about Terry McMinn, okay, Pam. And I didn't get any of this before, which is extremely important. I didn't get any of this. So one of the most suspenseful moments in the movie. One of the most suspenseful moments is when Pam comes out of the Bones room. She comes back out in the hallway. Leatherface, gun in hands, and Leatherface opens the door. Neither of them move. Neither of them move at all. But it's the most foreboding thing, and you know that it's not going to have a good end. But neither of them move for a moment. There's no movement, and then she runs. And what I was going to say was this. What I actually said before was this, but the memory ran out. As a kid, well, I was told that if you're ever in danger, run out of the house and yell fire. Don't yell fire. Everyone will come running out of the house. And so if you're somewhere inside and you felt danger, run outside, and there'll be people outside, and they'll help you. And so Pam actually gets outside. She actually gets outside. She actually gets to freedom. She actually tastes and feels freedom for one moment. She actually gets outside. And you're thinking, oh, she got outside. She's outside. And then she gets pulled back in. So Godfather 3. At first I thought I was out. And then they pulled me back in. That's from Godfather 3. Which I've seen very little of. At first I thought I was out. And then they pulled me back in. Now, so she gets outside. She literally... It's an incredible moment in the movie. Because for a moment it's like, oh, she's going to be okay. She's outside. She got outside, and then straight away. But at the moment she's outside, Leatherface already has a grip on her. He's already got her. It's a big moment. It's a very big moment. And then she goes back into the darkness. And what suspense though? What a moment. Okay. Yeah. I think that took numerous takes. Did a few takes on that. Do you know what? I think I could probably scream when I keep running out of memory. I could scream right now. Kirk, tension is built up so much because it doesn't happen fast. Kirk's yelling out, he's yelling out, hello, is anybody there? Hello? Hello, is there anybody there? Hello? And he does that for a while. He does it for a while. There's no Leatherface can hear him. You just... Okay. Strike that out. Because you know who's there. Whoever is there, whoever is home, you know very well that they can hear Kirk. So nothing happens straight away. This tension is built, this ridiculous amount of tension is built. And everything's just still, except for these animal noises. It's incredible. And there was another unnerving moment. All those day long legs, those, I wouldn't call them spiders. All the day long legs are in the corner. And you can see them, and it was. You know what it is? I've seen it. The amount of times I've seen it, and now I've become desensitized. I've become desensitized from it in a sense, which saddens me, because I'd prefer to be terrified by this movie, but I'm not. And those spiders, my gosh, when I would watch it over the years, I'd always freak out over that. It'd just be like, it was really bad. And over the years, I was like, what is Franklin guy doing in this movie? Get rid of him. Yeah. Is there anything else? I would like to add? Daniel Pearl, the cinematographer, fantastic job, really good job. And there's so much noise around that farm, that generator, and the tins on that torn tent. That torn tent is really unnerving. Everything in the movie is extremely unnerving. Like the tent is torn, and when Jim sighed out, he says, you folks, you don't want to be messing around that farm. You don't want to be going out there. If you go onto someone's property and they don't like it, and they don't mind showing it that they don't like it, and then he sees the girl. He's like, you don't want to go out there. Come on, you guys. Because he sees the girl, she's like, I think you want to leave this alone. You don't want to go out there. Now, come on, you don't want to go out there. He played that role wonderfully. Those are some points that I thought, I'm going to write them in. I thought, alright, put them in the description. And then I thought, what if I just, if I say it now, I thought, I'm not going to put this stuff in the description, I'll just write in the description, but no one's going to read it. And I thought, fuck it, I'm going to make part 2. I'll just do part 2. It'll take a few minutes. I'll say everything else that I want to say, and then that'll be good. So, now that I have covered everything I want to say about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, I would call it 73. It was made in 73, released in 74, made in 73. And I've now said everything I want to say about it, and my battery is about to conquer out. Midnight Charlie Man. And now I have covered everything. I've covered mostly all that, everything that I want to say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1973. Yes. Now it's bothering me to say these things. And I've said them. Next time I might use that bigger, bring the bigger light upstairs. I'll have that. Okay, very good. Very good. I've said some more things now. Okay.